Before the Kiriji War, Yorubaland was already being transformed by decades of warfare and political rivalry. The collapse of Old Oyo unleashed political instability and triggered migrations, wars, and the rise of new powers. Among the new powers was Ibadan, which rapidly became one of the strongest military states in Yorubaland.
Ibadan's strength came largely from its warriors, who fought campaigns across Yorubaland.
Warriors, prepare your weapons and advance!
Victory after victory expanded Ibadan's influence and created enemies among communities determined to regain their independence. For many Ekiti and Ijesa communities, Ibadan's military dominance had become increasingly difficult to accept. Resistance began to unite communities that shared a common desire to challenge Ibadan's control. This resistance eventually developed into the powerful Ekiti-Parapo alliance.
In 1877, the conflict erupted into what became known as the Kiriji War.
Opposing them were warriors from Ekiti and Ijesa communities, determined to challenge Ibadan's military dominance.
These were not simply armies on a map. They were farmers, hunters, blacksmiths, and young men, fighting for the future of their communities. But the war refused to end. Year after year, both sides continued fighting. The war became known as Kiriji, a name associated with the booming sound of the artillery used during the conflict.
Among the men remembered in Ibadan's military history was Are Latosa, one of the prominent commanders associated with the later years of the conflict. Latosa became one of the prominent figures associated with Ibadan during the later years of the conflict, remembered as an important leader in the city's history.
The opposing side also had determined leaders who helped hold the alliance together through years of difficult fighting. Neither side could easily defeat the other, turning the conflict into a brutal war of endurance.
Behind the warriors were ordinary people who suffered from years of disrupted farming, trade, and security.
Eventually, exhaustion and political pressure pushed the opposing sides toward negotiation. We must find a way to end this long conflict. Our people have suffered enough. At the same time, British influence was rapidly expanding across the region, adding another layer of pressure to the changing political landscape. Peace negotiations gradually brought the long conflict toward its final settlement. By 1893, the long conflict had finally reached its political conclusion.
After 16 years, the guns finally fell silent.
Ibadan survived the war and remained a major political and military center in Yorubaland. But the end of Kiriji did not mean the end of change. British colonial rule would soon reshape Yorubaland. The heroes of Kiriji came from both sides. Men who believed they were defending their communities and their vision of the future. The war left behind memories of courage and sacrifice. Yoruba communities shaped their own future. Today, Ibadan stands as one of Nigeria's great cities, a city whose history was forged during one of the most turbulent periods in Yoruba history. The Kiriji War was more than a battle. It was a struggle over power, independence, and the future of Yorubaland, and its echoes still live in history today.